Hello, my name is Megan. This is Danielle, Travis, and Ellie, and we're going to tell you about our summative evaluation of the Northern Trail exhibit at the Woodland Park Zoo. The Woodland Park Zoo's mission is that it saves animals and their habitats through conservation leadership and engaging experiences, inspiring people to learn, care, and act. The Woodland Park Zoo is laid out different than previous older zoos that would arrange their animals by species groups. Instead, they are biome-based, which means that they arrange their animals based on the habitats that they are in the rest of the world. The Woodland Park Zoo features a variety of these biomes, and one of these is the Northern Trail exhibit, which represents the tundra taiga biome of Alaska. These are some of the cutest animals at the Woodland Park Zoo. There's the brown bear, the otter, the wolves, and the Arctic fox. Naturalistic exhibits have a number of advantages and disadvantages. The advantages being that they have a number of natural hiding spots for the animals to hide in, which is very beneficial for the animals' well-being, but it's also a disadvantage for the visitors because hiding spots provide animal visibility issues for those zoo visitors. This also brings up a number of conservation challenges, being that if visitors can't see the animals, will they care as much about the conservation of the animals and their habitats? This has been done with other institutions, but never at the Northern Trail exhibit.
This leads into the questions that we were looking at in evaluation, and you can see the center one there is, do visitors understand how the Woodland Park Zoo is helping conserve this region? And we also wanted to know if visitors are understanding what area of the world is being represented, and that goes back to the biome-based exhibits, as well as if they're enjoying the animals that they're seeing on the trail. This is a copy of our final instrument. We did quantitative and qualitative questions. There were 5 open-ended qualitative questions, and these all had to be coded after our responses. We did not make predetermined categories for them to select. There was one Likert response, and then this was also a facilitated survey. We interviewed both groups and individuals if they were willing to talk to us. You can see at the very top, we have a little bit of demographic information followed by pictures representing the animals that are actually keyed from the Woodland Park Zoo map, and they could circle which ones they saw. And after that, they can tell us which ones they wanted to see but couldn't. And then we ask how satisfied they were with the views they had, and then if they got a sense of what part of the world was being represented. If they said yes to that, we asked them what part. And then we asked them if they saw or heard anything about what you and I could do to help the wildlife of this region. If so, what and where. And then what they would tell their friends, and if there was anything that could improve the exhibit. We pilot tested our instrument, and our initial goal was to obtain 60 surveys. And those 2 stars are where we stood in this exhibit. This is a one-way exhibit, so people have to come back the same way they came in. So we stood at both the entrance and the exit, which in theory would allow people to see the entire exhibit in both places. We did convenient sampling, but we did not interview school groups, and they had an orange badge, which is how we knew not to talk to them. Our pilot test had 9 surveys. These are not included in our final analysis because we did do some revisions, and we did 62 surveys total, but 12 of those were declined or incomplete. Some of our limitations were that the Arctic fox was actually not on exhibit during our data collection, which we did not know for the majority of our data collection. And this is also one of the less visited areas of the zoo because it is sort of on the northern tip. And we couldn't interview school groups because they had prior knowledge coming in and it would have skewed our data. Plus, weather conditions turned out to be a big factor as people were less likely to participate if it was rainy.
In terms of demographic information, the groups and individuals that we interviewed, for the most part, it contained some number of children. 71% of people who participated in our survey were children, so that tells you a little bit about who goes through the exhibit. We asked our respondents what animals they were able to see. Everybody reports seeing the bear. Other top sort of animals that people see include otters and wolves. Despite the fact, as we've already mentioned, that the Arctic fox was not on display for our collection period, 8 of our respondents still reported seeing the Arctic fox. So we did have to account for that when we did our final analysis. In terms of people We asked our respondents what they wanted to see but were unable to. And for the most part, people say there was no specific animal that they had wanted to see but were unable to. The second highest response after none would be the Arctic fox. So that's clearly somebody that the visitors would like to see. Despite having a few people mentioning not being able to see the Arctic fox, when it comes in terms of view satisfaction and how satisfied visitors are with what they're able to see of animals, most people by and large are either very satisfied or completely satisfied with the views that they have in Northern Trail. When we asked about conservation messaging, we found that 75% of people who responded did not report seeing any conservation messages. We followed up a little bit on reasons why or sort of circumstances surrounding that, and we coded it out to people mentioned they didn't read signs or they weren't looking for conservation messages. The people that did see conservation messages said that they reported seeing signs or seeing things in the tundra center. But a lot of people said that they weren't paying attention for this particular area or they were paying attention to their children rather than looking for conservation messages.
So when we asked people if they got a sense of where in the world this exhibit represents, most people, about 72%, said that they did understand where it was, 9% said no, and about 19% had no response. So we had a follow-up question, well, where do you think it is? And we broke out our results like this. You can see most people say the north or Pacific Northwest. So we have a general sense that people understand the general region, but nothing specific. So their knowledge is, they generally know where it is, but could use some refinement in that. And some specific responses that we were given is Northwesty, our backyard, taiga and tundra, which is correct, like Alaska and up. Northwest, twilight, which I thought was interesting. When we asked people what they would tell their friends about the exhibit, notably these responses were all positive, and most people had some sort of positive response or specific recommendations, such as this is awesome, I would tell my friends to come here. There were some other items mentioned, such as we like the views and animal visibility, the animal activity, and even the specific animal was very high as well. Some things that were said, or the otters are really interactive, bears are cool, my son likes seeing the Harry Potter owls. One of my favorite exhibit came up several times, and that was coded in a positive response. When we asked visitors what they would suggest, we got a mix of responses as well. Despite people reporting that in general they liked the views, people still would want to be closer to the animals. A few comments on better exhibit design made that one the second most common response, such as better signs or a loop-shaped exhibit, some QR codes. A few people mentioned specific animals, such as a moose, better signage for restrooms. So we had a few on amenities, and somebody said if we could see the Arctic fox more than once every 10 years. So in conclusion, people want to see more of the Arctic fox. People are generally satisfied with the views that they do have, all the same. The majority of visitors are clearly not noticing any of the conservation messages. And most people do have a sense of place where this is located, however, it's not pinned down exactly right. A general sense, not a specific sense. Notably, 100% of the tell friends responses were positive. Everybody had something to say positive about that. People seem to like the exhibit. Repeat visitors, interestingly, are more likely to have suggestions about how to improve it. And our data indicate that some people do turn around once they reach the bears and the otters and head out. And we would like to thank everybody, all of the people and animals that made our research possible. Thank you very much.